All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely flip how you think about, well, you. We spend our entire lives right behind our own eyes, right? Being me. But we almost never stop to ask what the actual physics of that experience looks like. So we're exploring a seriously fascinating framework that redefines the human person. It totally moves us away from thinking of ourselves as a static object, like a meat backpack carrying around a tiny ghost, and instead redefines us as a highly coherent, dynamic process.
So we gotta start with a remarkably simple question, but it's one that totally breaks our everyday intuition. What exactly stays the same when you stay you? Most of us would just point to our bodies, right? But biologically speaking, your body is constantly changing. Cells die, they get replaced, molecules are just constantly coming and going. The actual atoms making up your body today, they're mostly not the same atoms that made up your body when you were a toddler. Memories fade, skills develop, your brain literally rewires itself. And yet, despite all this massive physical turnover, you still experience life as one continuous person. So if the stuff you're made of keeps leaving, why does the you remain? To give this mystery some serious physical weight, we actually look back to Erwin Schrödinger, and the physicist who's famous for the whole cat-in-the-box thing. But he was also deeply, deeply obsessed with the fundamental mechanisms of life itself. He looked at biology strictly through the eyes of a physicist, and he realized that living things somehow survive by actively maintaining a continuous pattern of order, even while their physical parts are constantly changing out. It appears that there are two different mechanisms by which orderly events can be produced. The statistical mechanism, which produces order from disorder, and the new one, producing order from order. Notice what he's pointing out there. Schrödinger recognized that life isn't about reaching some static equilibrium. No, it's about actively maintaining order from order. An organism survives by staying dynamically organized while matter simply flows right through it. So biological stability is actually all about active maintenance, not just holding on to the exact same matter forever. Okay, to really grasp this, we kind of need an upgrade to our mental grammar. Objects first versus relation first. See, we are heavily conditioned to think objects first. We imagine reality as just a bunch of isolated particles and objects that only interact later on. But modern physics, from quantum mechanics all the way to relativity, really pushes us toward a relation-first view. In this view, things only make sense through their interactions and their coherence. Basically, a thing is known through its relations. Let's think about the whirlpool and the flame. These are deeply relatable analogies that prove real, physical things absolutely do not need the exact same matter from second to second just to exist. Think of a whirlpool in a river. Water flows in and water flows out continuously. The actual water molecules are changing every single instant, but the whirlpool keeps its recognizable form. Or think of a flame. Fuel enters, it burns, exhaust leaves. At no two instants is that flame made of the exact same particles, but it is still one continuous, real flame. Their identity belongs to the pattern of motion, not some fixed collection of stuff. So here's the crucial contrast: material sameness versus maintained coherence. True physical identity in a lot of natural systems actually relies on that maintained coherence and structural organization. Transformation isn't the enemy of persistence, guys. It's often the exact mechanism by which persistence is achieved. A flame survives by changing, and as we're about to see, so do you. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. It's from a section called Angela's Explainer, which the author actually wrote to explain these concepts to his youngest daughter. It goes, "You are not a statue carved from one forever rock. You are more like a really amazing song that keeps playing while different musicians take turns performing it. Isn't that great? You are a song. The tune stays perfectly recognizable even if a completely new trumpet player steps in, or the drummer swaps out his sticks. The pattern holds. You are the continuous song." All right, section 1. Your body is a process. The local manifestation through time. Let's just step right through the logic here. Step 1. Your identity is a stable relational pattern. Step 2. For that pattern to actually interact with the universe, it requires physical execution. And step 3, your body acts as that active local manifestation. Meaning, your body isn't a prison holding a ghost. It is the current, active rendering of the ongoing process that is you. It's simply where your continuous pattern becomes visible, touchable, and capable of taking action in the real world. If you're into tech, an AI analogy works perfectly for this. Think about latent weights versus local execution. An AI system has this massive distributed network of latent weights. That's the hidden pattern.
But when you actually ask it a question, it generates a single, specific, local execution in the form of a chat response. That output isn't the entire system, right? It's just what the system does under a specific constraint in that exact moment. Well, similarly, your body, right here, right now, is just the local execution of your much deeper, coherent living pattern.
Now, this incredibly complex dynamic bridges biology, physics, and perception all into one operational principle. And as you can see, it all funnels toward the far right of this visualization, leading us to literally the most important concept we're going to talk about today, player one. So the actual technical term for player one is the local reference frame of accessibility, or LRFA for short. It's defined as the unique first-person origin from which perception, memory, action, embodiment, and world access become locally available. Think about it. Just like Einstein showed us that measurements of time and space completely depend on an observer's frame of reference, this framework is arguing that your subjective experience also requires a local origin point. You cannot experience the world from nowhere. You experience it exclusively from your LRFA.
You can kind of think of the LRFA as the choke point of reality, because the universe is this massive, distributed field of signals. We're talking light, sound, gravity, complex social contexts, all of it. But you don't experience everything everywhere all at once. That vastness has to narrow down, and it gets filtered into one localized, experienced event right at your specific origin. It's like a giant sprinkler system spraying water everywhere. The water is totally distributed, but when one drop hits you on the nose, that becomes a local event for you. Your LRFA is that choke point, where the distributed universe actually becomes your lived reality.
So how exactly does perception work from this choke point? Let's look at something we can call reverse ray tracing. In video games, to save on processing power, a game engine doesn't bother rendering the whole entire universe. Instead, it traces rays outward from the player's camera to construct only what is currently visible and actionable. Your perception actually acts a lot like that. Yes, light enters your physical eye, but your experienced reality is actively constructed outward from your unique player one position. You don't just see random shapes. You see a world entirely structured by what you can reach, what you can climb, what might be dangerous, and what feels familiar, all projected from your exact origin point. Which brings us to section 2, expanding the boundary of you, testing the limits of coherence.
This is where the science gets incredibly fun, honestly, because we have real-world body boundary tests that prove your sense of ownership isn't strictly confined to your skin. Take the rubber hand illusion. Scientists hide your real hand, they put a fake rubber one right in front of you, and they stroke both of them synchronously. And your brain, which is kind of like a messy group project, eventually just decides, yep, okay, that creepy rubber hand is mine now. Or consider phantom limbs, where the physical tissue is totally gone, but the coherent body map persists vividly in the person's mind. Or think about how a blind person's cane or a gamer's VR avatar literally becomes functionally integrated as an extension of their own body. Your boundary expands out to wherever your coherent pattern can successfully integrate perception and action. It's wild. And this dynamic coherence isn't just spatial either. It's temporal. It extends through time. Your local origin, your LRFA, seamlessly accesses the past through your memory. It accesses the present through your real-time perception, and it actually reaches into the future through anticipation. You're not time traveling, obviously. Your local reference frame is simply utilizing different access modes to maintain your continuous pattern as you move forward through time.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway of this explainer. You are absolutely not a tiny marble driving a meat car from inside your forehead. You are a profoundly complex, incredibly beautiful, and physically real pattern that maintains its coherence through time, manifesting locally in the exact space you occupy right now. So the question is, are you ready to stop being a static particle and start existing as a continuous, coherent pattern? Really think about that the next time you look in the mirror. You are not looking at a fixed object. You are looking at a masterpiece in motion. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. And hey, if you want to dive deeper into the physics of your own consciousness, keep questioning the nature of your reality.